The partner apologizes and says a hurtful behavior won't happen again, but the fear it will happen at times. You wonder whether you're imagining the abuse, yet the emotional and physical pain you feel is real. And if you are happening, or if this sounds familiar, you might be experiencing domestic violence. In today's edition, we look at the role of association in tackling domestic violence. We equally look at the role of the law. We ask ourselves how much percentage of women seek justice when they are abused by their partners. The program is Women and Leadership on Canal, the International. We'll be right back after the jingle. And we have been talking with some women organizations in Cameroon and in Africa. It's a topic we have been treated 3 weeks ago. We talked about the different forms of domestic violence, and the problem keeps growing, a reason why we brought the topic up again. And this time around, we are looking at the role of associations, and we're equally looking at the pleas of the justice in domestic violence in Cameroon today. And as usual, we've invited just the finest brains to talk about this very problematic that is affecting millions of women around the globe, Cameroon inclusive. I'll begin by introducing the woman that is very close to me. She's called Madame Anjuma Cecilia. It's not the first time you're coming here. How do you feel today?
No, I feel good.
All right, we're going to talk about the growing rate of domestic violence in our communities today. We equally have Metro Fofong Jacqueline. She is a barrister at law. Metro, you're welcome.
Thank you, Maureen.
Now, what do you have to say about the low representation of women in politics, for example? Just very briefly.
Not the political landscape in Cameroon, or the political field or terrain in Cameroon of late is very hostile, and I don't think many women find it interesting going through what we are actually living.
All right, a lot of women still shy away from it.
Yes.
We equally have Egbe Eyong Nga Kumbe. I hope I pronounce your name well. You're equally a barrister at law. It was not easy pronouncing your name. How are you feeling today? This is the first time you're coming to a talk show on Canal the International.
Exactly.
We equally have Bu Tue Kelly épouse Bu Deli Bode. Association Lukovifa. Now, what's it all about, your association?
Our association is about, I can define it first. Lukovifa is Association pour la promotion de la lutte contre les violences faites aux femmes et pour la promotion du développement de la femme africaine. So we act about the development of women, and we act against women violences. All right,
we're going to talk about that. Now, before we get into the crux of the matter, or before we start the conversation, I want us to watch this report in Abafang, where a 23-year-old mother was killed by the partner. Let's watch. We'll be right back after the jingle. Another scene of domestic violence in Banka in Bafang in the west region of Cameroon cost the life of a 23-year-old mother, Olan Maheva. The young mother was killed in the presence of her 2 kids by a man she had spent part of her life with. The scene happens in a bedroom, and cries from inside alerted her neighbors, who came rushing to her rescue. But it was too late. The man had already butchered the wife. Maheva was found in her own pool of blood. I went out to buy bread. When I heard cries coming from her home, I quickly ran back and knocked at the door. I hit the door so hard that the man opened the door, but rushed out and ran away. He had blood all over his body. I went inside and met my friend in her own pool of blood. I called my husband for us to take her to the hospital, but it was already late. Maheva died. According to her neighbors, Maheva was constantly beaten by her husband. His last punch on her left her on a hospital bed, but she kept resisting for the sake of her kids. She returns from the hospital, but this time around, it was a machete that ended her life. Her two kids watched the scene helplessly. The scene happened at Donga Quarter, Block 6, in the Banka subdivision. Elements of the gendarmerie were on the spot and immediately opened investigations. The entire neighborhood is in tears. Pathetic scene out there, Metro. Fofong, I would like to start with you. Maybe your reaction after watching that story.
Yes, Maureen. It's so pathetic, so disheartening for a young woman, so young. I think you said what? How old?
23-year-old girl.
Yes, at the prime of her life, to be murdered in cold blood like that. It's really bad. But honestly, I don't know what to say. For that was not the first violence that was inflicted on her. Being a young woman, you are married. Marriage is a good thing, it's an institution. But when it's not a going concern or other circumstances makes it not a going concern, I think you should better advise yourself than stay there and be killed like this.
Alanchuma?
Yeah, it's really breathtaking to hear or see such a scene. Actually, we don't know where the world is heading to. And our children, because that girl is at the prime of her youth, she has not gone anywhere, and her life has just been taken out of her. I believe the other should.
If you hear from the reports, it's not the first time it's happening to her, which means that she had been going through torture from the man, but she kept staying inside.
Of course, we as parents, we have to blame ourselves too. What do we have to offer to our kids? Because we are just excited making kids, and we don't think about raising them in the better way. That child, just look around the house, you understand the situation she has been in. Is she educated? A girl of 23 is already married. It means she never went to school. And she had no option but to click on a man for survival. Okay. And that's how many of them they are doing.
Can we attribute the growing violence in our communities today to the lack of legal justice?
Well, in my opinion, it's not whether we have a lack of legal justice or a proper judicial system, but the way the African codes are constructed or construed, you will notice that they only copied from the white man's code, how they should put in laws that protect a woman. As far as Africa is concerned, family is paramount to any other thing. So they will always do their best to make sure that you do not go and seek for help from the proper legal institutions.
All right, Kelly, now in your association, do you have the impression that women seek justice when they have such problems?
It's very sad to see that kind of things again. Many women that we receive, they don't know what justice can do for them.
Okay.
Please allow me to shift sometimes from English
no
to
problem.
French.
Just go ahead.
So, plusieurs d'entre elles ne savent pas réellement ce que la loi prévoit dans ce cas-là. Plusieurs. Ce qui fait que plusieurs subissent se disant on n'a nulle part où aller, on n'a que faire et tout et tout. Et je rejoins la dame qui disait tout à l'heure, à 23 ans, est-ce qu'elle a réellement été préparée? Est-ce qu'elle savait réellement où elle allait? Est-ce qu'elle savait pourquoi est-ce qu'elle se mariait? When we get married, we get married firstly to be happy, to make a beautiful family. So what can explain that your husband begin the one that will kill you?
All right. Now she just said something about the law. Are women sufficiently or knowledgeable about what awaits them at the level of the judiciary when they have such problems, Metro?
Yes. I'm sorry, I cannot quantify their accessibility is another one, and knowledge is another one. Whether they even know that I've been battered or I was battered by my husband, I have a right to seek the arms of justice against him for beating me up. I don't know whether they know. Then before asking themselves, where do I go to? Where do I address?
Do they even know?
That's the problem. Do they? I don't know how much they know that their person has been attacked, assaulted. I mean, it's a right. It's a
Human rights.
It's a human right. It's a claim. Even our Cameroonian Penal Code does not accept it, wherever it comes from, whether it be it from your spouse or from any other person in the society. For example, there is a series of sections of the Penal Code that punishes assault, harm, grievous harm, slight harm, and all of that. The law punishes them, which means that when you are a victim of that type of problem, that type of assault, irrespective of who is your adversary, it is your right to lodge a complaint to the forces of law and order. When you lodge a complaint, that complaint automatically has to be looked into. The problem in this case that I've just seen is that people like this at 23, they have been married, they have 2 kids. The first prerequisite is that when you approach a gendarmerie or a police station to lodge your complaint, normally you don't go there and lodge a verbal complaint. What you do is you should go there with your written complaint that I'm complaining about X or Y, but against this. Then most often, the police, like in the case of assault, we ask you that, okay, madam, you are a victim of this thing. You say, who beat you up? Can you identify the person? One, the person is identified, which means that the accused person is identified. Secondly, is it proven that actually you were assaulted? How is it proven? By a medical examination. A doctor will examine you and give a report and even a medical certificate that as a result of the injury that you are complaining of, you suffered this or you suffered that. But where I have a small thing is that when people like this, they come to you, when you direct them, madam, you have to go to the police, write a complaint.
You have to start from there. That's the procedure, right?
Yes. You have to write a complaint that on this day or this and at this place I was listening in the circumstances and explain. Now the police, they will take your statement. No one. The procedure at the police that we know is that when you file a complaint, the boss of the complaint is received, irrespective of whether the boss is there or not, is forwarded to him. He quotes it to an investigator who investigates the fact whether it was actually. So in the course of the investigation, if you insist that, oh, I was beaten by my husband, my friend, my neighbor, I lost this limb, or I'm feeling this, they'll ask you, okay, go and bring a medical certificate, a report. Mm-hmm. When you bring the report, it is found out that the doctor has examined you and certify that this or that. The medical certificate is classed in your what they call enquête or investigation file, and it is forwarded. If it turns out that from the doctor's examination, it's a grievous harm, it is a slight harm, all of those are punishable by the law.
Now, I want to be clear on this. Do we have sections? Because we're talking about domestic violence. I know women out there will be watching. Let us know. Let's be clear. Do we have sections of the law that sanctions domestic violence in Cameroon? Barrister?
Yes, our Cameroon Penal Code has several sections. You have it from like section 2, 7, 7, 7, 6, 7, 9. You either fall under assassinat, coup mortel.
That's what nature was just talking about.
Good. So when you find, this is mostly in a family setting where you have the husband without the intention of killing his wife, gives her a punch, which we think that's what could have happened there. Although there we are exposed to a machete. Whatever method it is, most times it's a fit of anger. Then the person reacts before realizing or before he consumes his 5 minutes of passion, that provocation, he has already committed something.
Now, we have the law is there. Now, is it applied? Have we ever punished a man for doing that on a woman?
Hardly do they punish because I think the crime continues because the men don't get punished. We don't have to focus on the women who are scared to talk. We actually have to focus on the men. Like our brothers on the other side in the Western world, every person is violent. It's a character. It's attributed to a human being. So it's not by skin color. But they really shy away from doing it because they are afraid of a sanction. So yeah, I think looking at the victim and blaming them that they are not courageous to talk won't help. The person in question should fold his arms knowing that if I dare do this, this is what will happen to me. So
because I want to find out, yes, Meg.
Let me step in.
Because has a man ever been punished for beating up a woman? Let me say, has the courts, any court in Cameroon, sanctioned or given, let me say, a life sentence or whatsoever, or 2 years, 1, 3 to a man? Because we think that the fact that the law is quiet on that, that's what is pushing maybe the men to continuously abuse the women.
Maureen, I don't think that the law is quiet on that. The law has been doing quite much. As I started telling you, a judge, a lawyer will not get into your house to know what happened there if you don't own up. It doesn't end up to denounce. When you file a complaint, you follow up that complaint. Maybe
at what expenses? Because maybe the woman will say she does not have the money. At what expenses? Because I want us to really talk about it. It's a real problem.
No, some abandon the complaint, some lodge the complaints and abandon it out of neglect, some out of want of finances. Yes, because by the time you lodge a complaint and maybe by the time the matter gets to court, maybe it can be in an interval of 2 months. And the woman, you realize that the victim, is no longer interested in the matter. She has probably gone back to her man. Then the matter is called in court and nobody shows up. You expect the court to condemn somebody that nobody has been there to give evidence, to prosecute. So that's where some of the matters end, not because the law is not there to do it, but the victims, they are not willing, the lack of willingness to carry out their matter to the end.
Don't you think because the women are not sufficiently maybe sensitized with regards to the law, that's why it happens that way, Kelly?
Okay. I wanted to take an example of a woman we follow up until her husband has been, how can I say it?
Condemned.
Yes. So a few months ago, we received a woman who were already many times beaten by her husband. At firstly, we received her. We went to the hospital with her, and she did a medical certificate. She did a certificate, medical certificate. We gave her some psychological assistance. Then we started we asked her to break up some proofs, some proof, and by the grace of God, she had the habit to take some pictures of what the husband has to do.
Has been doing.
Yes, has been doing. Then we went to the gendarmerie. Yes, and with the help of our lawyer, because we have a lawyer, we have many departments. With the help of our lawyer, he continued following up the case, and at the end, her husband has been
sentenced.
Yes.
All right. Now, but when I look at statistics shows that less than 1% of women seek legal advice or get the matter to court. Now, Juma, Cecilia, you've been talking to a lot of women. Have they in any way or in your conversation, told you the difficulties you had taking the matter to court or seeking legal advice?
It starts from the foundation. It's something lacking. Our law does not it doesn't really protect us as we will have to compare it with the Western world.
Well, look at the Western world. The man is even just afraid to even lay a hand on the woman. But this other way, it's the contrast of what is happening. Is it because so much power has been given to the men and they can just do anything, do whatever they want?
Of course.
And that's what I'm talking about. How many? Metro just talked about the court has punished. How many cases have we had of men being punished because they have battered or beaten your wife? How many of such cases have we had? Because I think we had them every day, and every we report them, maybe would have helped change mindsets too.
The point is,
yes, you can go ahead.
We just talked about them shying away. The women don't want to expose family problems. They will consider it a family problem. Even to come to the social welfare where I am based, they shy away. Then not to talk of going to the court. It's a whole procedure. So if you want to depend on that, we hardly have the right statistic. But to the best of my knowledge, I want to believe that women who are in a relationship, about 50 to 60% are going through domestic violence. Because if you look at globally, the definition of domestic violence is any aggressive act, character that you express to your spouse. And if you go in, most of them have said that it's not only the physical battering that is more destructive, but the psychological destruction of a person or your spouse is more, it affects you more. So we are focused on the physical for now, but there are many women who are suffering emotionally because you are being destroyed gradually.
So does it mean that okay, does it mean that men will leave the justice part of it?
No, the two, we are living in a legal community, a legal world. Cameroon is a legal nation. We can't leave the legal part of it because it must exist. It's a country of law. But then, if we are going back, because everything starts from the foundation, they are up there, the legal people are there seated. But the family, the reality of ground, that's what we are talking about. So we should start from there.
All right, Metro Egbe, I know that women are not economically stable or they are not on their feet. A lot of women, we have a lot of women in the rural areas because we can't reach those areas. We can't report some of those cases. Now I want to talk, is it possible that maybe as lawyers you go down when you hear such cases, do you go down to the field to check what's happening just on your own as a lawyer to see how you can carry such cases even without the woman paying you any franc?
Okay, we're coming back to the international bodies I was talking about. In every situation, you need to support it with finances. So I don't think any lawyer will be able to defend up to 3 women if that particular lawyer has to be using their own money. You see these countries we talked about carrying out this job is because they are affiliated to bodies that provide the money, like this SVRI. They actually fund the resources we need to carry out this assistance to victims.
And have you ever carried it? Have you ever gone help the women out there, especially those facing domestic violence?
You first of all have to have them come. You need to sensitize them.
And if they don't come, you hear them on TV, television, what do? You don't
go, I can't go to you. Like, you need to get to the doctor for him to know that you're sick, you know. But what I think the media has a bigger role to play even than the government, because the media, the poorest person watches TV. So you need to hear on media that, like they do talk about Coca-Cola. You need to do the same sensitization. You need to see adverts talking about domestic violence and let the women know that you can call this number. You flash or you project the symbols of the associations. Sometimes they're not educated, but they'll look at the picture and say, I saw this on TV when they were talking about domestic violence. They'll get to your office. A lot of women don't know. They don't know. Like I was talking to, I sent you some picture. There's an association that was created like 2 years back. It just got to be registered last year. It's called, it's actually a group of lawyers put together, female law school lawyers. It's FELASLA, its acronym. So the intention of that association had to first of all be encouraged by fellow lawyers, which I know very well that it won't go with us. That's why the association, because I'm the founder, so I associated CEDAW, which is a UN charter on women violence. I associated and also affiliated it to EVAWI, which is the American charter, which is End Violence Against Women International. And this other SVRI is particular because they are somewhat the oldest and they have funds to give. So if Cameroon pays attention to our associations when we create them, because creating it is one thing, but the government to pay attention to it is another thing. Unless that government official loses a daughter, they will not.
And again, there are people who have lost, maybe they don't have confidence in so many associations who do exist, but they're not really helping women out there. They're there for their personal interests. So maybe when somebody looks at it, they want you to first of all do the job, and then they come subsequently ask you what you do. I'm not like justifying.
No, you're correct. You're very correct, because I face that hardship.
Not doing anything. Because
I face that
associations that just stay on the spot, they don't move out there to visit women or talk to women. I was about to ask Metro for that. As you've been in the field for more than 20 years, And in the course of your job, I feel like in one way, have lawyers come together to like even just looking for means to defend women, go to the neighborhoods, go to the suburbs, try to talk with them, try to take some of the problems and bring them to court. I mean, trying to make sure that women don't go through those sufferings. I must sound emotional.
Yes. Madam Maureen, from what you're asking, personally, I've had to help some women. We are lawyers. Our services are remunerated. But you find yourself at times with a very bad situation that you yourself cannot say, Madam, go, because she cannot pay. Morally, you find yourself helping in the court, even removing money from your back and giving to that woman. But you cannot do for 10 women. I don't have a paid job at the end of the month.
True.
I have to pay my office. I have to pay my house, pay my bills, run my car. So if I start doing charity work, going to look for victims of violence, how do I meet up? My services are supposed to be remunerated, but the cost of it.
So how do you encourage your women to come towards you?
How do I encourage you? No, when you come towards me, I will not go looking for, like what just happened. You expect me to take a car here and go to Bafang to look for, or what? Cannot do that. On whose bill?
So in a way, what are you telling the women?
What
are you telling the women?
No, I'm telling do you know where I'm very angry, Maureen? The Cameroon government has gone a long way. Women's Day is celebrated in this country almost like a public holiday. But the women who needs it, who needs Women's Day, because I'm an emancipated woman, I don't need Women's Day. Or if Women's Day is for me to educate other women. But the women, you find out that they are not interested. What they are interested in Women's Day is the Women's Day fabric. And the men giving them drink even on Women's Day. They are not interested. What is the theme for this one? Have you attended any conference? What it is saying? I've talked to women for more than 5 years consecutively, because I can say that for the last how many years, myself, I'm getting cold, because when you talk to women, you educate women, and I'm not seeing any difference. They're only interested.
Instead of focus on what is not a priority.
It's not a priority. As a woman, as a female lawyer, I know that when I have a female client who comes to me with matrimonial issues, the moment they start, my husband is doing this, my husband is doing that, the first question I ask them is, Madam, what do you do? Yes, because I know that it is financial, there is financial problem at the base of it. Madam, what do you do? Sometimes, no, Madam, I didn't do anything. I say, how can a woman not do anything? I tried this, and my husband says, I say, see, the root of problems in the family before it gets to violence is that Madam is not doing anything. I said, by the time you ask Madam, you ask your husband for savon, for children's books and this thing, a child goes to school and is sent back home because he doesn't have this or that book. The child comes back and has to wait for the father to come back before give that. I said, you are creating tension in the house, not knowing. I said, because if you were selling parched granite and that child came back and you gave him, bought that book for 200 francs and gave him and he went back to school.
Unless you have solved the problem.
You have solved a problem. And when your husband hears that, he's happy. I said, so do you expect your husband to give you money for part every month? I said,
and men don't know want a woman to work. They'll stop you. They just discourage you. They don't even want you to do anything. They want you to just stay at home. No, but don't move out.
Yes,
I know a lot of cases.
No, when they tell me that, then I tell them that you are in for bad game because that man has something against you. No man. There's nobody who would not like to be helped. Because when you do something, you help or you contribute in the house. That's indirectly you help the man. But if the man says no, there's no man who can provide any woman, any household with everything that they need.
All right, Madam Juma, Cecilia, at what point do you carry a problem to seek legal advice?
You should rephrase the question.
No, let me leave the question that way. At what point, because you talk to the women, now at what point, because you sensitize them, you talk to them, you try to encourage them, at what point do you tell them that, okay, take this complaint to the police and get a lawyer or take this further?
Okay. In my experience as a social worker, I will say that we receive women every day, and we do advise them that it's not right for a man to batter you. But the violence here goes beyond the physical battering. We will get complaints only those who are physically being assaulted. And when they come to us, we don't hesitate to tell them, you have to quit. No man has the right to lay hands on you.
And why would she tell you? Why will I quit?
And that's why I'm saying that we have a lot. It's about the mindset. Because everybody knows why he's leaving and why you are into a relationship. And if you believe that you are very comfortable with that relationship, you will still go back, no matter what advice I will give you. You are comfortable. And there are some culture, our Cameroonian culture, that encourages battery. And so some women do enjoy it.
Yes.
It's true. Some women do enjoy it. And if your man is not battery, it means his man is not jealous. So they give in to that. So they believe that it's a tradition. So when a woman comes and complains, and you give your advice, it's left to her to choose whether she wants to proceed for legal.
You don't try to like accompany her. You don't try you don't get back to her neighborhood to investigate, to look at the gravity of the problem.
Of course,
it ends there at the office.
It doesn't end in the office, because before we even advise for legal proceedings, we also have our ethics to have what to do to see how we can redress the situation. We, first of all, issue a convocation for the man to come in, for us to see if the problem is coming from the woman or is, by talking to the both parties, we will be able to understand whether it's a problem we can manage. But with all due respect, the decision is theirs. And if they go back home after trying, because the social welfare is there to manage couples to see how they can better live. So if we give our advice and they decide not to take and go back together, do the contrary, and still do the same way they believe it, at the end of the day, if something comes out, who do you blame?
Now, Kelly, I want to find out at the level of your association, how do you accompany the women? Let's forget about maybe the legal part of it. How do you accompany them generally?
Generally, okay. Like I said before, when
she approaches you the problem for the first time, what do you tell her?
We first of all, we try to listen to them firstly. Une écoute attentive. I don't know how to say it very good in English. So we try to listen to their problem very quietly. We take many time to listen to them. Après les avoir écoutés, if the problem is their husband, if the problem is between the husband and her, if he beats her, or if it is only a psychological violence, we call the husband, we discuss with both of them. When we discuss with both of them and we find out that the man will continue beating her, because some men say that if I don't beat her, she won't understand what I'm saying. I'm the man, I have to beat her, I'm the man. If the woman wants us to help her, so we will say that I can't abandon my husband, I can't leave him, I can't live without him. Yeah, we are very surprised. I don't know if they are born together, but it's what they say. But if she accepts us to help her, we will give her some a psychological assistance. We will take her to how can I say it in English? I will say
so
it in
depends
French.
on the woman. If she wants you to go further and help her, then you help her. But if she doesn't,
if she doesn't, we will go to in her family. We will try to meet her friends, some of her friends, some of her neighbors, some of her brothers.
If she tells you more about her family,
yes,
what
if she tells us, but if she closes up, we can't do something. But if she open some things about her life.
Because we have a lot of women who are marriages and their family does not know about know anything
exactly.
about
So
what is
sometimes
happening.
when she refuses.
All right, Barrister Egbert, do you think stronger laws can help protect women from domestic violence? The laws are there, but you think if the laws are reinforced and made stronger, it can help stop domestic violence?
I don't think violence will stop if we keep depending on laws and depending on women to report, especially for us, talking about our society. I think what can help it stop is a sanction, I insist, because the African men are no more hostile than the ones who are prone to some degree of ecstasy than the ones here. We have some culture that restrains us. Yet our men can do and undo till you die. As she mentioned before, there is something that has to pertain to a second person other than the victim reporting. The victim is first of all someone who is undergoing a trauma. So I don't buy to the fact that if they don't want you to go further, you should blame it on them. If not, all the women will just die. Because by the time you even hear of it, it's because she's tired of the beating. So most times it comes from just a small sound. If a neighbor just hears anything, the neighbor should report. Whether the woman decides, I don't want it to go further, shouldn't be the question. The question should be, it's like a thief. You steal, the moment you're taken to the police and he says, je ne veux plus qu'on continue avec l'affaire, ça ne dépend plus de toi. C'est un bandit. Donc ça ne doit pas dépendre de la dame que non, laissez mon époux. Your époux is a future murderer, so we won't let him. I think that's the way the law should look.
All right. Mentor, do you concur with her? Are you with her? Do we need stronger laws? The laws are there, but we need to reinforce the law so we address domestic violence once and for good.
I think so. And even the laws that are already there, women are not making use of it.
Like what sections of the law?
No, there are many provisions of the law which sanctions violence on your person, on anybody's person. Those sections do not say that domestic violence on anybody, you have a right, you are a citizen, you are an individual, you are human. So far as you suffer that, you must, you have a right to, there's a right, you have a right for that situation to be redressed.
Then how do women make use of it when they are not even aware that those laws exist? And how do we make the women to know these laws?
Well, that is the, I think, to fight or counteract domestic violence, I think women need more sensitization than it is already done.
Exactly.
But I'm so disappointed because even for those ones that are open, they are not interested. When a woman comes to you, for example, some will come to us when it's already at the, you ask her the question, at what stage do they come to them? It is at the last stage, when your face has been battered, when everything is gone. That's when they come to complain. But when it starts just as she said, violence on does not necessarily mean the physical, the battery part of it, hitting somebody or touching on somebody. Just even violence, your comportment, the way your husband talks to you or your spouse, your partner talks to you, you sense violence in it. They take it, they accommodate it, they start beating, they start locking them out. All of that, they go and sleep with a neighbor or they go to this thing and come back. Yes, and stay in their house. To them it is okay. By the time they come to you, it's like this. But madam, what have you done about, what did you do? No, madam, but what could I do? I just listen. And now what do you want to do? Madam, I don't know. If will you take your husband? Okay, you have to lodge a complaint to the police. On second thought, no.
Police?
No. Madam, but he's my husband. I say, who says? What do you want to do? And madam, I came to see you. At times I ask them that, do you expect me to get up from here and go and fight your husband for you? I don't want to take you long. They want this, but they don't. So it's these same women that even when you push and push, they succeed in lodging a complaint. By the time the complaint is looked into, final action is taken. They are now giving them summonses, come to court and tell the court exactly what happened, what transpired, so that the court can sentence this man or the court can punish this man. you no longer come. What do you want the court to do? The court on its own motion should take your place and give evidence for you and condemn your husband and sentence your husband. No, the court cannot do that. You have to prosecute your husband for that, for that violence.
What do we know it's about marriage? Where are we going to? What education are we giving to our children? Because it hovers around that. Before a woman gets to the point where a man stretches his hand, they say non-verbal cues they've gone through. The man comes, he does not talk to you for no good reason. He does not respect you. He does not express some affection towards you. But you are just excited to be under a man's roof. Is that what marriage is all about? So we should train our girl children because they are the women of tomorrow.
Yes.
Sure.
See this young girl, how she has ended up. The family
is a loser.
So if we don't educate our women, they will be
And the men too, and the young boys, and
because
the men.
that's what we are saying.
The boy child should be educated too.
Seriously.
We don't separate them during counseling because they need education. They don't even know where they're going. You see a young man, because he can push truck and earn 10,000 a day, he pulls another man's child. So you should also raise the esteem of your children. That you should not just settle for anything. Educate your children. What have you given? Because it's what you give your child, she will know where that child, she is going. You don't just leave them in the wilderness and you expect the best from them. When they end up where they end up, you are to blame. Parents are to blame when young girls like that, because if you are not economically empowered, you are dependent.
And so we're looking at the role of associations. We're equally looking at what steps women can take to take the problems to court or seek a legal advice. We equally we talked to women out there. We did a vox pop. We sampled the opinion of some women on why they are so reluctant to take their problems to court or seek a legal advice. And if they want to talk to anybody, who is the person they will talk to first? Let's watch. We'll be right back.
Bon, je pense qu'il y a déjà en priorité les témoins de mariage des deux côtés, parce qu'il y a toujours des témoins pour la femme et pour le mari. Donc, en priorité vers eux, ensuite vers les parents. Mais en cas de violence, on parle de violence conjugale là. En cas de violence conjugale, il vaut mieux que la loi soit saisie le plus tôt possible, parce que parfois, c'est des psychopathes, c'est des personnes qui ne sont pas normales, c'est des personnes qui sont malades, qui ont besoin d'être accompagnées. Alors, quand on saisit la loi, c'est dans un premier temps pour limiter quand même l'accessibilité de la personne et ensuite pour se protéger d'abord soi-même, parce que la loi est d'abord là pour nous protéger.
Si la violence est répétitive, au fait, s'il continue de le faire, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Forcément, on a toujours un parrain de mariage. On a quelqu'un qui nous parraine lorsqu'on se marie. On se retourne vers ce parrain. C'est quand ça ne va pas, c'est grâce au conseil du parrain qu'on peut voir si on peut aller plus loin que ça. L'intervention d'un avocat, c'est au cas où la violence, comme je vous disais tantôt, se répète et que peut-être le taux de violence est plus que ce qu'on... S'il y a déjà presque mort d'homme, il faut interpeller la justice.
Il y a certaines femmes qui sont tabassées au point où on leur a même les faire repasser sur la tête. Moi, je n'imagine même pas ça dans ma vie. Donc, franchement, les femmes qui sont violentées peuvent avoir recours à la loi famille. Mais je dis la première personne, c'est le conjoint même. Il faut s'asseoir, il faut s'écouter, il faut se parler. En cas de récidive, peut-être un de ses amis ou un membre de la famille.
Je suis violentée par mon conjoint, je vais me plaindre chez ses parents, en espérant qu'ils puissent parler à leur enfant, quoi. Oui, pour essayer de rétablir ou... Enfin, parce qu'il écoute plus ses parents, surtout sa mère.
Welcome back. Let's look at the role of the association. Now, do you think your association is playing a role sufficiently to sensitize women out there? I always have this passion for women in the rural areas, because I think that a lot of things are happening in urban cities, but women in the rural areas, how often do you get to them? Because they too are feeling the pinch, they too have those problems, but there is no way they could denounce them.
Sufficiently, I won't say yes, because we have every day we have many women who continue suffering because of domestic violence. But we try our best. We do many sensitization. We have many programs about women empowerment. We have many programs about women rights, to make women know their rights, and we try our best to help women to be proud of.
Now, how often do you get
self.
into those neighborhoods and talk to women, just like walking in communities, talking to them, maybe one-on-one, get into markets, talk to women? I'm sure they'll give you a listening ear.
Sometimes we go inside some markets, we go inside some communities, but it is not easy at all, because women of rural areas, they have their own, how can I say, they have their own behavior.
Okay.
Yes, they have their own mentality. For them, it's very, very difficult for them to be opened. It's very difficult. When you try to make them understand that what they are, how they are living is not the right way to live. It's not the best way to live. It's not how they have to live.
They think exposing their problems to you is like a taboo. It's like they are not supposed to expose their marital issues to an association or to another person.
Very difficult for them to be open. Yes, it's very difficult. If sometimes it's the head of the community who can tell us a bit about what happened in some families, and they are only the neighbors who can give us some information. But the women, they are very closed. They are very, very closed.
Now, Barrister Egbe, now we're looking at the way forward here. We're looking at solutions to women out there. Now, how do you know that you're facing violence, or you're being violated, you're being abused? How do you know it? How do you feel it? When do you feel it? At what stage do you feel it in your marriage?
I'm not married, so I can't know. But however, I think going from the word intimidation.
But I know you have friends. I know people.
A lot of cases,
and
they'll come to you.
You're a lawyer.
They'll
Even the
come
fact
to
that
you.
you're small, it doesn't mean you don't have those women, or who are so maybe they are in the worst stage of their life. They come to you.
Okay, they'll come to you most times. Lucky enough, mine, they usually accept and divorce, because the way I put it, you divorce the man. I'm not even going to spare, because I know the future will be death. Because the men, most times, the people I know...
It depends on the degree.
The problem is we were talking about a woman's empowerment, so I'm trying to link it. When a woman is empowered, it's even worse. The violence is almost like, I'll kill this woman today. It doesn't even help. Because we have this gospel singer who died. She was empowered. In fact, she was a breadwinner. But her violence was even worse, attached to humiliation, because the man feels threatened. The African man is such that he is the king of the house. Now, if for some reason you even get married to such a man and then he can't provide for you again, you are the cause. You've taken his star. His luck stopped when you came. In fact, you were sent to come and destroy him. So his violence is more. In such a situation, I just believe that the only way out is a harsh way. You leave the house, because dialogue will not work. Dialogue doesn't work when someone believes that he ought to be where you are, because the partner does not realize it, but he puts himself into competition with his female partner, like is it marriage or an ordinary relationship? At that point, the person becomes jealous. So it's a fight, and the way out is to quit.
Now, Metro, what are the methods or the preventive measures that you can use as a woman to prevent domestic violence in your home? What are the measures at an individual base?
It's speaking up. For example, this woman who has been battered, who was finally killed, if the first time their husband laid hands on you, you slept in the hospital, and after that you lodged a complaint to the police and came back home with a convocation for him, you should know that, hey, this woman is not joking, it's dangerous. It's not as I thought. So when next he thinks of that, he should know where it will take him to. But they just don't want to talk.
So what's the way forward for that?
It's encouraging women to speak out, to talk, to speak out, and to lodge complaints. The fact that you lodge a complaint against your husband does not mean that you want an end to that marriage, or you want things to be corrected. That's the point I want you to emphasize, because there are women who think that by the time you're launching a complaint against a man, you're in short, you don't want the marriage. No,
that's not it.
You want the
steps you take to ensure that your marriage comes back.
Yes,
it's normal.
Yes, those are steps to right the wrongs which is existing in the marriage. It's not because you no longer want the man or you no longer want to be married.
Put in your mind that the woman does not have money, she doesn't have anybody. She has just God. By the same time, she needs help from someone. Now, what is the procedure? What should she do? We're talking about justice here.
Talking about justice.
She has nothing. She does not know where to start from. How will she begin? Where will she begin?
Madam Maureen, I assure you that at the police, when you go there to lodge a complaint, nobody asks you for any payment.
Because what I'm saying is I want you to sound it very loud, because when you talk about courts, you think about money. You talk about police station, money first. So there are always ways out. That's why I'm asking the question that you tell the women out there what they need to do. What's the procedure when you are in that abusive relationship? If you're going to court, if you're seeking legal advice, what is the procedure to take? What's the first step to take?
If it is violence, especially physical, the first step is to lodge a complaint. At the police or the gendarmes, you are not required to pay any fees to lodge a complaint. I think before the new code came out, complaints were supposed to be stamped. It means 1,000 francs stamp put on it. But the law today is that a simple written complaint, handwritten or typed without any physical stamp, you are not asked any money for payment. You lodge your complaint. After listening to you, maybe you are given a convocation to give to your spouse to come. You are not expected to come with him. He has to come on his own and respond to what you have said. Then the police or the gendarme, after listening to the two of you, any documents that they prepare, your file is prepared now and sent to the legal department of the court. That looks into the matter and find out whether actually your complaint, does it tie up to the law? Does it qualify under a particular section of the law that can be prosecuted? If that is the case, the matter is sent to court. A day is fixed and you are communicated. With the cell phones today, the first thing when you are writing a complaint, there's your telephone number on it. So that at least I've seen the case where the court, even in court or at the police, because the interval, when you lodge a complaint, the convocation and this thing, the investigating officer calls any of you, either the complainant or the accused person, or you are supposed to report here for this or for that. Oh, madam. So if you are the victim, the matter has finally gone to court and the accused person is to be prosecuted. They send a message to you or they call you on the phone and tell that, madam, your matter is coming up on this day. Come and take your summons, or know that your matter, you are expected in court on this day. So if they call your phone, they even inform you right to that extent. You do not want to come and stand in court and let the matter be called and you tell the court your story. What do you want the court to do for you?
We are running to the end of the program. I would like Juma Cecilia to look at the camera and talk to the women just briefly. The camera.
Yeah, my advice to women is that if you are faced with a situation where you are being battered, say something, as our legal colleagues have just said, and even the neighbors, those who are out there should always report. They say if you see something, say something. And I have an advice to the associations. They need to go down to the rural areas, create focal points using the members of that rural area, because they better master the terrain and they know the language they will use that will better educate the rural women. So we should not limit ourselves to the urban cities. Yes.
Kelly, look at the camera that way. 1 minute to talk to the women out there.
Please speak out. You must speak. When you are suffering, you must speak. Be proud of yourself. You have your own right. You have to be proud of yourself, and you have to try your best to be empowered. Am I saying
Yeah,
perfectly? You have to try yourself to be empowered.
All right, Egbe?
Well, if I have a word to say is, parents should educate their girl children. Violence most times stems from lack of respect, and no one likes to be carrying a burden. When someone is carrying you like a burden, there is no respect coming from that person.
All right.
So educating the girl child is paramount.
All right. Metro phone, the camera is that way.
Yes, I still stick to the point that especially in domestic violence, women, because most of those 3/4 of those really battered are most of those women who will tell you, I'm not doing anything, I don't have anything, or try to do something to get yourself out of that. And if you see, when a young girl like this remains there and she's killed, it's because she's thinking of, if I live here, where do I go to? She's not doing anything. So try and do something that brings in some economic, financial relation so that you can be able to stand on your own feet. If the marriage that you are in does not work out or is not working out or it will be at the expense of your life, you should be able to step aside and carry on with your life. This young girl died. She stayed in the relationship because she wanted to take care of her 2 children. But she finally died leaving those 2 children orphans.
All right.
And you know what life is for orphan children to grow up.
So pathetic. We're talking about domestic violence, and I want to thank you so much, ladies, for coming to share your own experiences and stories and solutions on how to end domestic violence in our communities. And again, women have been told, or we're telling women to speak out, denounce domestic violence. We have lawyers out there who are ready to take your problem, listen to you, and take your problems to court and see how they can handle or address the problem. The program was Women and Leadership on Canal, the International. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.